Golden State with Mates post-game live after the Warriors get a 137-103 victory over the Sacramento Kings at Chase Center on Friday night. That was nice because it looked like that was going to be an awkward game, tied at 84 late in the third quarter. You're like, I hate the Kings, man, because they are just a terrible team, but they've kind of got enough offensive talent with like Levine and DeRozan. They're not good players. They're not winning players, but in like a one-off matchup, like they can be dangerous, right? And I was just thinking late third quarter, I was like, oh, come on, please don't be a clutch game. Like this is starting to get a bit frustrating. And then thankfully, bang, Warriors pull off a 13-0 run to end the third quarter. And that was it from there. They outscored Sacramento 53-19 from then on. And that's what we've got from Knox and Thandeka. Knox says finally a game we didn't have to stress about. There was maybe a little bit of stress from me late third quarter again before they went on that run. Thandeka says an easy game. Finally, yeah. Crazy to think games tied at 84 and you win by 34. That's remarkable. But the biggest takeaway from me, I looked it up towards the end of the game where the Warriors are in terms of bench net rating. And they're 19th so far this season, which I think moving forward should be completely flipped on its head. Like 19th isn't good, but I look at this bench and I think this is a team that is pretty deep and now has a couple of really quality veterans in rhythm returning from injury that should catapult this into being a top 10 bench in the league at a minimum, I think. And I can't say enough about how the bench unit performed in this game. And it started with that 13-0 run, which is essentially led by Jimmy Butler and by DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford. And the Melton and Horford combination to me is an absolute dream. Again, credit to Mike Dunleavy Jr. in the front office. Now, the whole Kuminga aspect, we can criticize them for that. Should have they try to do more to get like a sign and trade done during the offseason and prevent the whole free agency stalemate? We can't really answer that until we see what they get back for Kuminga now. But the assertiveness, I suppose, to go out and say, Al Horford, you're our man, to go out and get DeAnthony Melton back, they are just two huge pieces for this team. Arguably probably the fourth and fifth most important players on this team, which, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, probably means that they obviously need to go and get another piece, because I think ideally Melton is like the fifth or sixth, like him and Horford are like fifth and sixth most important players on this team. But DeAnthony Melton right now, man, like I was always optimistic because I'm like, this dude's impacting the game even without shooting the ball well. Like he's shooting damn like 15% from 3-point range, and yet he's still being a positive influence. Now he's found his 3-point shot, 3 of 6 again in this game. Couple of big ones in the second half as well. Finishes with 19 points in less than 19 minutes, I think, after going for a season high 22 against Milwaukee on Wednesday. So, man, this dude just continues to get better, as you would expect, I suppose, coming off that long-term knee injury. And Al Horford is finally looking like Al Horford, looking like the guy the Warriors were so eager to get in free agency. His start to the season was awful. Then he had the sciatic injury, which meant it was just a complete disaster. And you're wondering, can Al Horford really become the guy the Warriors envisaged? Since he came back on Christmas, of course, he had that blistering start when he hit 4 threes in the first quarter. Since then, this guy's been really, really solid. What do you have, like 8 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists against Milwaukee on Wednesday. This game, he drops 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists and a block, plus 13 in just over 16 minutes. So the Melton-Horford combination, to me, that cannot be understated in terms of the importance to the team with that duo coming off the bench, and just the importance and the recognition, I suppose, giving that to Mike Dunleavy Jr. in the front office for going and getting those two guys in the offseason, because they are going to continue to be huge parts of this team, and they have been. And I look at this bench unit led by those two guys, and of course, Jimmy's playing and leading that second unit as well. And I just think to myself, that should be a real plus for the Warriors. We have got a combination here that even when Steph Curry's off the floor, this should be a positive lineup, which is something you've very rarely said about the non-Steph Curry minutes over the past few years. So that's a massive positive for the Warriors. And I look at this team and I think the bench is kind of set. When you got Horford, you got Melton, Pods. But I don't think Pods is going anywhere. You guys can put Pods in a trade if you want. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think his contract, like the fact he's $3.5 million and he's like $5 million next season or whatever, I think that's too valuable to give up on right now. Now, they are going to have a question mark when it comes to his extension eligibility and what kind of contract he's going to want. But, the dude played well today. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 of 6. That circus shot. There's still times where the ball sticks in his hands too much to me, and I want him to get off the ball a little bit more. Like, too much, particularly in the second half. Even when the possessions ended okay, it felt as if, again, that one where he hit a BS circus shot in the corner, that's a bad possession. That's a bad possession, and you got lucky with an incredible shot at the end of it. So there's still some improvements, obviously, to be made there, but I just don't think the Warriors are moving him unless a team really values him to the point where you include him for something really valuable in return. He's a plus 28 in this game in 22 and a half minutes. Will Richard, I like the combination of him and Melton defensively. GP2, look, do I think GP2 should be in a fully healthy rotation? No, not really, but I will give credit. The last few weeks of GP2 have actually been a few of the best weeks that we've had since basically he came back to the franchise in 2023 in the trade with Portland. Again, he goes 6 of 7 in this game, 12 points, 9 rebounds in less than 18 minutes. Warriors outscored this, who'd they play? The Kings. Warriors outscored the Kings 66-38, I think it was, in bench points. So again, really solid bench unit, which should continue to be strong moving forward. And to me, now, I feel like this team, again, the bench is set. You got to go and get an upgrade. You got to upgrade either the post spot or the Moody spot. They're the positions to me. And ideally, you might do both. And that's why I suppose Anthony Davis was kind of a real intrigue to me, but obviously that's gone down the drain now with his latest injury. They're not going to trade for Anthony Davis. Sounds like they're not going to trade for Trey Murphy III, with Chris Haynes reporting earlier today that the Pelicans are informing rival teams that they have no interest in trading Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Zion. I'm not sure why they're so adamant on keeping Zion, but whatever. And then Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears were also added to that tweet. I don't know why, because those guys are clearly untouchable as recent first-round picks. So if we take New Orleans at their word, which I'm not sure I necessarily do, I think there's a chance that that's just posturing, and that if the Warriors are willing to pay overs, that they could still get Trey Murphy. But if we take the Pelicans at their word, we say that there's no Anthony Davis trading coming, then surely, suddenly, the deal becomes Michael Porter Jr. and Michael Porter Jr. very quickly. I'm going to get into some of your comments, and then I'll talk more about MPJ. Thanex says Melton is such a difference. If we win all 6 games left, we had 9 games above 500. Enough Crypto says playing with their food for 2.5 quarters. Knox says now that we are winning, the Suns can't seem to lose. Lol. Yes, I looked at it. The Suns are still 2.5 games above the Warriors. They're 23-15, which is ridiculous, really. I don't know. The top 8 to me in the West is pretty set. I'm not too concerned about teams below. Maybe the Clippers are the one where you would think, okay, maybe they can make a run at it. They've been pretty good in recent times, kind of makes Monday's loss hurt all the more. But looking at the standings now, the Rockets, they've lost a couple of games currently. They're only 3 games ahead of the Warriors. The Trailblazers are 2 games below the Warriors right now at 19 and 20. The Grizzlies are 4.5 games behind. The Clippers are 6 games behind. So, and then the rest we can forget about. So, to me, I'm pretty confident the Warriors will be a playoff team. Obviously, ideally, they won't go through the play-in, and ideally, I suppose they've got to get to the 7th seed, because you don't want to get to an eliminated matchup where you're the 8th seed, you've lost the 7-8 matchup, and then you've got to play the winner of the 9-10 game. That would be an absolute disaster. So there's still, we're less than halfway through the season still. Plenty of time to get things right, and hopefully they are getting things right. I'm trying to temper expectations a little bit, because I do understand and realize that they are going through a pretty easy part of the schedule, both in terms of there's not as many back-to-backs necessarily. They're at home. They've got 8 straight home games, 10 of 11, I think, at home. And then the other away game was the Clipper game. So easy schedule. Again, based on being home, based on the opponent as well. They're playing some easier teams right now. So this is the part of the schedule you've really got to take advantage of. But then I suppose the optimistic aspect is they're going to make a trade in the next couple of weeks. So by the time the tougher schedule comes around, they'll, one, have more confidence because they've got their guys together now. They're finding a rhythm. They're playing better. And two, hopefully their team will just be better from a talent standpoint because they go and make that move, to which Fendek says, can we get MPJ? To me, Michael Porter Jr. is the clear, obvious trade target right now. With AD out of the mix, with Trey Murphy III out of the mix, he's the one left where you're like, okay, the Warriors have got to go get that guy. They have to go and get him. He's averaging 26 points a game. He had quite a game today against the Clippers. I don't care. He's shooting nearly 50% from the floor, over 40% from three-point range, giving you 7-8 rebounds. He's 6'10", one of the best shooters in the league, one of the best tough shot makers in the league. You could put that guy with Jimmy Butler. Now, defensively, do you take a little bit of a step back? Yes, probably. But offensively is where the Warriors are obviously struggling a little bit right now. Obviously, they put up 137 points against the Kings. That's good, but it's Sacramento at the end of their day. I reckon I could score on their defense kind of thing. So this is where the Warriors are going to have to improve, and getting a guy like Michael Porter Jr. I'm slightly hesitant still because of the Brooklyn factor, and we know that his numbers are inflated by being a number one option in Brooklyn. But if he's on the Warriors, and even I was looking at his numbers today, if he's giving you what he did last season with Denver, which was 18.2 points, 7 rebounds, 2.1 assists on 50.4% from the floor and 39.5% from three on 6.4 attempts. If he's giving you that, great. That's perfectly fine. Now, how many picks are you willing to give up for that? I mentioned on the Patreon earlier today that I think Michael Porter Jr. is worth about 1.5 first-round picks. So if I'm going to give up 2 first-round picks, 2 unprotected first-round picks, I need to get something else back, whether it's a 3-team deal and you get Keon Ellis or something, whether you get Haywood Highsmith, Day'Ron Sharpe, something to just sweeten it a little bit. I need a little bit more, assuming it's Kuminga, Hield, Moody going out, and then 2 unprotected first-round picks. Maybe it's a 1 unprotected first-round pick and then a top 5 protection on a second one. I don't know. But I know Draymond certainly, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Draymond certainly stirred up the pot with a viral clip off his podcast earlier today, where he suggested he was talking about MPJ, talking about him, one, from a playing standpoint, taking the jump, taking the leap over the last couple of months, but also talking about a potential trade and his belief that, hey, you get to this situation, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, Michael Porter Jr. is playing really well, you've upped his value. You would normally, in this situation, move that guy on for draft assets. But then he also, towards the end of that 2-minute clip that was on social media, he said, and again, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was basically along the lines of, we'll see what they do in the next 9 days. And everyone's listening to that thinking, 9 days? What are you talking about? It's the trade deadline's February 5. We've got nearly a month until the trade deadline. Less than a month, but 3 weeks. Over 3 weeks till the trade deadline. What's 9 days got to do with it? And so the only thing I can think of, the only assumption I can make from those comments are that he recorded the episode a couple of days ago when there was 9 days to go until Jonathan Kuminga was trade eligible. Now, if that's the case, and that's why he's mentioning 9 days, does Draymond know something? Do the Warriors have a deal lined up for Michael Porter Jr.? That, to me, I'm going conspiracy theory here, but why else would he mention 9 days in regard to a Michael Porter Jr. trade? Bizarre. Seriously bizarre. And the only thing I could think of, he recorded it when there was 9 days to go. There's now 6 days to go, whatever, until JK's trade eligible. When that's the first possible point the Warriors could make a Michael Porter Jr. trade, including Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, a couple of firsts. I put out on social media a couple of hours ago the trade that I would do. Now, I'm very confused because it sounds like the Nets don't have any interest in Kuminga. However, surely they would want and potentially expiring contract in Kuminga, who has a team option for next season. Surely they would prefer that over Malik Monk or DeMar DeRozan or some player from the Kings who has more years left on their deal. So the deal I concocted up was Warriors get MPJ and Keon Ellis. The Nets get Malik Monk, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, 2026 first and 2028 first. And the Kings get Jonathan Kuminga. That was the 3-team trade. And I had a couple of Nets people in the comments saying, why do the Kings get JK and why does Brooklyn get Monk? And I was like, well, because Brooklyn don't want Kuminga and the Kings do. And they were like, yeah, but why would we take on Monk when he's got like 3 years left on his deal, when we could just take Kuminga, who could be expiring if we want to opt out of that the second-year team option? And I was like, well, fair point. Fine, we'll just make it a 2-team trade. We'll get MPJ. Maybe we get, I don't know, I was looking at the salaries. The unfortunate aspect to this, if I just get up the old Fansbo trade machine, the unfortunate aspect to this is that I believe Day'Ron Sharpe and Haywood Highsmith make an inch more than, along with Porter, than the combination of Kuminga, Hield, and Moody. That's the problem, I think, with that trade. Is that if I put, let's just make it a 2-team trade, Kuminga, Hield, and Moses Moody. I don't like trading Moses, but feel like some of the looks that Moses gets, and you're like, hang on, if that can just be Michael Porter Jr. taking those shots, and there's some like tough shot making elements with MPJ, and he gives you more of a rebounding element. He's 6'10", like that feels like you've just got to sacrifice Moses Moody in that scenario. So that's $43.2 million the Warriors can go out and utilize. If you look at Brooklyn, Michael Porter Jr. at 38.3, and then we go down and look at a guy like even Haywood Highsmith at 5.6 million. I don't think he's played a game for the Nets this season. That is 700,000 too much. That's 43.9 million, which means the Warriors would have to send out another player. Trace Jackson Davis maybe is the player I can think of. They're not going to give up Will Richard, I wouldn't have thought, although if that's what Brooklyn need, I don't think I want to do that because I think Will's value on his contract for 4 years is immense. GP2, I don't think the Warriors are going to give up GP2, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at Day'Ron Sharpe at 6.2 million. Again, that's not quite. You're going to have to get, I was going to say, can you give up Trace to get Day'Ron Sharpe back? Nope, you can't. Actually, no, you can. You can just by the skin of your teeth, I think. I think you can make that trade. It's just that you would have to. I don't know if there's enough room to then go sign a player, because if you're giving up 4 and only getting back 2, obviously that would leave you with 13 players on the roster, and you would have to go and sign a 14th player at some point. I don't know, Charles Bassey or someone from the G League, or Pat Spencer would obviously go on to a main roster spot, I should say. But he would have to get like a pair of 10-day contracts and then like sign into a rest of season deal when it's prorated for an even shorter amount of time kind of thing. So, man, it's confusing, but we'll wait and see. Enough Crypto says, I was beginning to give up on Al. Yeah, it didn't look good early in the season. It did not look good at all, but fortunately he's come around. The shooting's coming around a little bit. I like he's doing more than just, I thought early in the season he was just so 3-point reliant, like so 3-point heavy. It's like he's shooting 29% from 3-point range and 32% from the field overall. And you would ideally, in your big man, you'd be like, well, even if they're only shooting 30% from 3, maybe they're shooting at least like 45% overall, because they're actually getting some points inside the arc. That just wasn't the case with Horford at all. Like there were games where he'd have like 8 shot attempts and 7 of them were from 3. And I like the fact that he's on, like, not just picking and popping some of these possessions. He's kind of rolling to the rim a couple of times. Jimmy and Melton do a good job of finding him with those, like, just inside the paint, where he can then have those little flip floater shots that are pretty effective. And he had a couple of those today. So I like what I'm seeing from Al Horford. He looks pretty solid defensively as well. This is the kind of guy that the Warriors envisioned when they signed him, obviously, in the offseason. Stephen GP2 two-man game is great. Yeah, so long as there's enough like floor spacing out there. I don't love like GP2 and Draymond playing a whole lot together necessarily, but they just continue to play Draymond at the 5 a heap. I don't know. It's frustrating to me. Draymond played pretty well in this game. 11, 6, and 8. 3 turnovers, but 8 assists, 3 turnovers. I can live with it. The Warriors only had 10 as a team, so they continue to be pretty good over the last 3 games in terms of turnovers. Plus 16 in the game in 27 minutes. 3 of 4 from three-point range. So a good Draymond Green game. I don't love him playing, what was it? Well, Post played 13 minutes, and some of that was in garbage time. I think he played like the last 4 minutes in garbage time. So if we say of real time, let's say there's 44 minutes of real time, Post played 9, and Horford played just over 16. That's like 25 minutes. Draymond's playing like 19 minutes at center still. Like, I don't know. I don't love it. I'm just putting it out there. I do not love that whatsoever. Steve's just going to continue going to it. The other move that Nails Connolly says, Draymond, baby. I'm assuming that's in regard to Draymond playing well. What I would say in regard to the Brooklyn trade is that Stevie Ray, who I'm sure might be listening to this, he's very big. I think he's brought it up on the podcast a couple of times. He certainly brought it up with me personally that he's very big on the Michael Porter Jr. Claxton duo and getting both of those guys and giving up Draymond as part of the process. So, for example, let's say, now I don't know what Brooklyn would do with Draymond because it's not as if Draymond's a guy that you could suddenly like increase his value like to have with Porter. Like Draymond's not going to go out there and start dropping like 25. So I don't know how that would work, but because I don't love bringing in a non-floor spacing center because I just don't think Steve Kerr is going to play them enough for it to be warranted unless Draymond's going out in the trade. So, for example, Claxton and Porter make $63.6 million. Kuminga and Draymond and Hield and Moody make a combination of 69.1, gives you enough room to get Haywood Highsmith back as well in the trade. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about, again, it's a 7-player trade, but it works out perfectly from a salary standpoint. Kuminga, Draymond, Hield, Moody for Porter Jr., Claxton, Highsmith, and obviously the Warriors give up a couple of unprotected first-round picks. Maybe even more. They might have to even give up more for both Porter Jr. and Claxton. I don't know. I know Stevie wouldn't mind that. I'm not totally against it. I just don't think the Warriors are giving up Draymond Green for a combination of Porter Jr. and Claxton. I don't think that's happening. Steve says, don't trade for Zion. He can't stay out of trouble with OnlyFans models. Yeah, it's weird stuff with Zion. But I watched him today. I was a bit of a sicko. I watched the Pelicans Wizards game today, out of all games before the Warriors won. And Zion played pretty well. And our boy Trey Murphy III was excellent as well. Man, that dude has a shot. Like he's just pulling up from well beyond the 3-point line and cashing. It's like that dude would look good on the Warriors. But so would Michael Porter Jr., to be fair. Preserve Monk says Blazers have like one of the easiest schedules remaining. They played all their toughest games early in the season. Scary stuff for us in the standings. We're just going to keep on winning. Just keep on. Let's I know it's only halfway through the season. Let's have a look at what the strength of schedule looks like on, what is it, Tankathon or whatever comes up with that. Because it would be interesting to see what it looks like from a Warrior standpoint. So, remaining schedule strength. Portland, you are right, has the easiest remaining schedule, right? So their opponents right now are 0.47 essentially, so under 500 obviously. The Warriors have the third most difficult schedule behind Oklahoma City and Denver. Golden State's teams left have a combined 0.52 winning percentage right now. Looking at Phoenix, a 5th, Minnesota, a 6th, San Antonio, 7th. These are all very close, to be fair. There's not much of a difference, really, and I don't think it's really going to become too much of a factor until we get right down to the nitty-gritty, like last 10, 15, 20 games, and then it's like, all right, let's really focus in on kind of who other teams are playing. At the moment, you've still got over half of the season to go. If you're the Warriors, you're just focused on your own game, trying to win as many games as you can. Because at the end of the day, like if you rattle off, what are they, 21-18 now? If you go, I'm trying to even think of what they could get to. I don't even really want to look forward, but you're probably going to have to win almost 50 games to guarantee a top 6 seed. And so that would require them to go, 39 and how many games have they lost? 18. 39 and 13. No. Where am I at? 29, sorry. 29 and 13. That sounds about right. 29 and 14, I suppose, over their last 43 games. That's what they'd have to do to get to 50 wins. Can they do that? Don't know. We'll see. So we open with an easy schedule. Those back-to-backs made it tough for us. Yeah, I guess so. Geez, we've lost some games we should have won. Okay, I hate to keep saying it, but man, this team should be. They're 21-18 right now. They've thrown away 5 games to me. Like they should be 26-13 right now, not 21-18. And if they're 26-13 right now, they're like, what's the West looking like? The West they'd be third. Nuggets and Timberwolves are both 25-13 right now. Warriors should be right there. Man, it sucks. They're just throwing so many games away. I can't even think of many they've stolen as well, because some people will be like, oh, well, it's swings and roundabouts. Yes, you have some meltdowns and you lose some games you should have won, but you also win some games you should have lost. Can someone tell me like 2 or 3 games the Warriors like stole out of nowhere and shouldn't have won? I don't know. Feels like that's not a thing. They've just lost a heap of games that they should have won, and this team should be far further up the standings. Steve says a lot of tough games for us in late January to late Feb: Minnesota, Boston, San Antonio, Phoenix, Detroit, Denver. All the more reason to go out and get a guy like Michael Porter Jr. Go and make your team better, which I'm confident will happen. Like the Warriors, I'm trying to be, I said this with Stevie earlier in the week, I'm trying to be a little bit realistic and say, hey, there's a chance that the return for Kuminga just isn't good, or at least isn't good in relation to what our expectations are as fans. However, it doesn't have to be good for it to be an upgrade. Like Kuminga is a DNP right now. Therefore, anyone who can even play 10 minutes in the rotation is an upgrade. However, again, it's all relative. I think this team, to be a genuine, some kind of serious threat, has to go and get a guy like Michael Porter Jr., right? Has to get a legit third guy offensively, because right now Moody ain't it. Moody ain't it. And, post, I think ideally, someone asked me on the Patreon earlier today, like, do they need do they need 2 starting caliber moves and like upgrade the Moody and post spot? It's like, yeah, ideally, but like I don't think that's coming necessarily. So I don't know. Go get MPJ. And then all of a sudden we got a big starting lineup, which would be very different to what the Warriors have had in the past. With obviously, if you had Steph, Jimmy, MPJ, Draymond, post, that would be like my starting lineup, because Moody would be going out in the trade. And then like your closing lineup, perhaps more importantly, would be like Steph, Melton, Jimmy, Steph, Melton, Jimmy, MPJ, Draymond. That might be your closing lineup if Steve Kerr's determined to go small ball. And at least with like a 6'10" Michael Porter Jr., your small ball is not so small anymore. Like it's still 2 guards and 3 forwards. One of the forwards is like one of the best defenders ever. The other is like, one of the others is like 6'10", and it's not like 3 or 4 guards and Draymond kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll see. April starts tough, but ends easy. I'm including the Lakers in easy. I wouldn't be, but we'll wait and see what happens with them. Berserk Mark, if I'm the Nets, though, if I see the Warriors are desperate, I would be asking for Pods, Moody, and JK +2 first. Yeah, possibly. I would then need Haywood, Highsmith, or Daron Sharp back, which would, I suppose, work for the salaries. Yeah, that would be my answer to that. I could see the Warriors. Wouldn't it be hilarious after the whole marketing incident if like Pods is again the the breaking point where it's like Brooklyn are like, we want pods and we'll give you Haywood Highsmith back. And the Warriors like, nah, we're not doing the trade now. That'd be hilarious. Berserk Mug just brought up, if I'm the Nets, I'd recreate another marketing situation and ask if the Warriors are making pods untouchable again in negotiations. Warriors be like, yeah, we'll give you pods, but we're taking away a first round pick. Anyway, I'm going to finish it up there, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. The Warriors have the Atlanta Hawks on Sunday. I'll probably be back for another live stream after that. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, that would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at POC252. That's POK252 on X/Twitter for daily Warriors content. The Patreon is also free through the first 2 weeks of January. So content coming out there, multiple posts Monday to Friday over on there. So please check it out if you haven't already. Golden State with Mates on TikTok and Instagram as well. Warriors have now won 8 of their past 11 games. Let's hope the momentum continues to